Imagine a new kind of investing, a potentially life-changing way to invest that honors biblical principles, the kind of principles that you and I grew up with. Since 1994, Timothy Plan has made biblically responsible investing possible, offering mutual funds and ETFs that are filtered for biblical principles. Don't compromise your values. Invest with Timothy Plan. Ask your financial advisor or call Timothy Plan at 1-800-TIM-PLAN. Again, that's 1-800-846-7526 and discover what it means to be a biblically responsible investor. Investing involves risk, including possible loss of principal. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risks, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at timothyplan.com. Read carefully before investing. Mutual funds distributed by Timothy Partners Ltd. and ETFs distributed by Foreside Fund Services LLC. As a paid testimonial, there is no guarantee of future performance and each experience will differ. Hey there, welcome to another MemoPod. It's good to have you aboard with us and hope that you are doing well. There's a couple things that I want to get to today on the MemoPod. I want to start off with my view. I don't think Joe Biden's going to make it. And I don't mean that I think he's going to die. I just don't think he's going to make it. He's not going to make it through this next election cycle. And there's multiple reasons why, but I think that the Democrat Party, I think the left is fully aware of it, and we'll talk about that in just a second. The thing that I want to talk about in the second half with our paid subscribers, just so you all know, if you're watching or you're listening and are a paid subscriber, there's been a lot of talk in Christian quarters about this He Gets Us ad campaign. And I've heard the talk before, and they had Super Bowl ads last year, but a lot of my, fellow more conservative Christians really got worked up about the recent Super Bowl ads. And maybe some of those that got worked up are you. And I did not get worked up. And so I've kind of felt a little ostracized, a little not at home amongst those that feel similar to me and believe similar to me about a lot of theological and political things. But I want to maybe give a different perspective on the He Gets Us ad campaign. Now, are there things that I would have added, or are there things that, of course, and I'll mention that, but I think maybe it's possible that one of the reasons that a lot of more conservative Christians recoiled at what they saw in that ad, maybe it's not a bad thing that it kind of made us uncomfortable. I know, I want to dig into it, and I want to tell you exactly what I saw in all of this and kind of my take, and then you can rip me to shreds and tell me why I'm wrong. But all of that comes up in the second half. Just a different, maybe unpopular Christian take on that whole He Gets Us stuff. My side buttons aren't buttoned here. That's all right. Okay, so something dawned on me, and this was a few weeks ago. And I think it might have been because I was reading something from another commentator. I don't know. But the truth is that I am far more interested and I am far more intrigued in writing about and discussing and talking about the frustrations and the failures that I perceive are occurring within the modern Republican Party than I am in talking about the absolute fecal show that exists on the left side, the progressive side of the American political spectrum. And here's why I'm more fascinated, intrigued, and interested in talking about what's happening on the right, because I think the left has written themselves off from any credibility amongst those of us who still have a grounded moral conscience. The left has embraced, and when I say the left, that means by and large, the Democrat Party has embraced a policy agenda. And that doesn't mean that every single Democrat or person that calls themselves a Democrat or a leftist buys into all of this stuff. But the policy agenda that is being advanced by the party and the party leadership and the party organization. There's different ways, and we talk about this in my college government class. I teach a college level government class. And we talk about this whole notion of how we view parties. There's three different ways to view a party. That's the party in the electorate, and that is the people in the general population that consider themselves to be Democrats. Then you have the party in government, and that's when you think Democrat, you think Joe Biden, you think Nancy Pelosi, you think Chuck Schumer, the elected Democrats that kind of are the face of the party. Or there's the party apparatus, like the national chairperson and the committees and the ones that write the platform and the convention that happens every 4 years. So you can either talk about the Democrat Party organization, the Democrat Party in government, the Democrat Party in the electorate. There are many Democrats in the electorate who do not agree with and would not sign off on the policy agenda that's advanced by those in government and structured by those in the organization. So I think you have to have an intellectual approach to understanding political parties rather than just get your undies in a bundle whenever somebody says, well, the Democrat Party's agenda is this, and the Democrat Party has written itself off or disqualified itself from any type of serious moral consideration for those of us who attempt to operate by a grounded moral conscience. I understand that aggravates people, but that doesn't morally condemn everybody in the electorate that considers themselves Democrats. What it condemns is the party's leadership that is advancing that policy agenda, a policy agenda that facilitates the destruction of human life, which we know is the case. That's not arguable. The destruction of of human nature, which you now see in the whole transgender movement, and the destruction of the human family, and the breakdown of the nuclear family, the pretension that says, well, you can mix all of these different equations and still have a solid family core, as though the nuclear family isn't set apart, isn't the building block of society. So when you have a policy agenda that seeks to break down those three, how anybody with a grounded moral conscience can say, yeah, I can support that policy agenda. They've disqualified themselves. Now, I believe that the Republican Party in government and in its organization is well on its way itself to rendering themselves ethically intolerable. But I do think there is some intrigue left, which is what I often write about or talk about, as to how long the collapse of the Republican Party can be avoided. So I would much rather spend my time talking politically, anyway, spend my politically oriented commentaries talking about the MAGA movement and phenomenon and what it's doing within the Republican Party, the evolving embrace that MAGA's movement and other movements are pushing us, the Republican Party anyway, towards embracing radical sexual politics, the rejection of traditional principles on the right. That's the kind of stuff that I would rather spend my time talking about. And yet, even with that predisposition of mine in place, I simply can't overcome looking and gawking at the unfolding nightmare that is transpiring within the Biden campaign right now. In case you somehow missed it, what happened last week, there was a special counsel, means like a special investigator, who investigated Joe Biden's handling of classified documents. If you remember, the Democrats began an investigation into Donald Trump and whether or not he had kept classified documents and all of this stuff and all the lawsuits and everything that followed that. Well, the Republicans, when they gained power, said, hold on a second, Joe Biden's done the same thing. So we need to get, when he was vice president under Obama, he kept classified documents. We need to get a special investigator to investigate him. Well, that investigator just released his report, and it absolutely cripples the credibility of the Biden administration. Robert Hur is the guy's name. And he nailed Biden for a major offense. He said he retained classified documents from his time as vice president, and he revealed, we have evidence of this, the special counsel said, he revealed highly sensitive pieces of military intelligence. He revealed it to a ghostwriter because he'd hired this ghostwriter to write his memoirs. Here's what Hur said in the report. I'll just read you a line. Mr. Biden's lapses in attention and vigilance demonstrate why former officials should not keep classified information unsecured at home and read them aloud to others. Now, it doesn't look very good for the Democrats to be prosecuting the former president, Biden's 2024 opponent. You shouldn't be prosecuting that guy for mismanaging classified documents, considering the fact that this report says your own guy mismanaged classified documents. But that's only the tip of the embarrassment iceberg for the Biden team. Because the special counsel that investigated Joe Biden said he did this illegal stuff, they recommended no criminal charges. Now, the Democrats have brought criminal charges against Trump for the same offense. But the counsel said don't bring him against Joe Biden, not because there's an absence of criminal conduct on the part of Joe Biden. No. The special counsel recommended no criminal charges against Biden because they said that the president is too confused, he's too disoriented to be able to functionally stand trial. Now, it doesn't stop there. That's bad enough, but it doesn't stop there. Remember, I said this was enough of a train wreck for me to take my attention away from the Republicans' best effort to squander this opportunity they have in 2024. So what else occurred? Just hours after this report from Robert Hur was released, President Biden trotted out there angrily in front of the cameras, and he proceeded to try to prove to everybody that he had the temperament, that he had the memory. My memory's just fine. He tries to go out there and he mumbles his way through this attempted defense, and he comes across shaken, he comes across agitated, he comes across confused, and you can see the video if you want to look it up. To the point that Joe Biden confused the names of two presidents on opposite sides of the globe. Now, knowing that I'm not a leftist, you might be inclined to say, well, that's just your understanding of it. Let me read to you what Paul Begala, he's the CNN contributor, big leftist, big progressive. This is what he said on CNN the night that Biden did this talk after the release of the special counsel's report. Quote, "Look, I'm a Biden supporter, and I slept like a baby last night. I woke up every 2 hours and wet the bed. This is terrible for Democrats. And anybody with a functioning brain knows that." Okay, first of all, I think he ripped that line off. It's like his version of a line that's pretty common. Oh, I slept like a baby. Yeah, I woke up throwing up and having accidents in my pants and all of that stuff. But he wasn't alone. It's not just Paul Begala. He's saying, look, everybody knows, everybody with a functioning brain knows what is happening here is terrible for the Democrats. You had outrage that was filtering its way through the ranks of congressional Democrats because they're seeing their party's standard bearer, Joe Biden, as this albatross that is hanging around their necks. Here's a piece from Axios. One House Democrat wondered why the president's staff allowed him to hold a press conference and then field reporters' shouted questions, quote, that late at night after a full day, instead of in the morning when he'd be, quote, fresh. I want you to take note of that phrase. When he said, that late at night. How could Biden's team have let him go out there that late at night? We know when you have somebody in mental decline and elderly age that nighttime is when they get confused. How could they let him go out that late at night? Okay. First point, crises don't always occur mid-morning when the president is fresh. So it's concerning if the president isn't capable of handling things late at night. Second of all, he held the press conference at 7:45, late evening. Late at night? Is there anybody who believes that 7:45 p.m. is late at night? If it is too late at 7:45 for the President of the United States to be expected to be able to function, to be expected to be able to cognitively reason, to communicate, to lead, then how can we say it's not time for the 25th Amendment? And don't get me wrong, I'm not wanting a President Kamala. I don't want to be giggled our way into oblivion. But I don't know where the argument comes then that it's not time for the 25th Amendment. And I understand what the Democrat-run media is going to do. I really do. They will circle the wagons. They will do their best to defend the indefensible until such a time as the party, and I believe it'll be after Biden has enough delegates, that way they can make an announcement that he has been deemed unfit, that he has been diagnosed with dementia, whatever it might be. But they do that after the delegates, and then the party can choose who they want. That party as an organization can choose who it wants, whether that's Michelle Obama, whether that is Hillary Clinton, whether that's Gavin Newsom or somebody else. And I don't know who else they would pick. But to me, we're now, after seeing everything last week, to me, we're now dealing with the question of when all of that occurs, as opposed to if all of that occurs. It was that bad. Your thoughts welcome. You can send them my way, peter@peterheck.com, or you can comment below, peter@peterheck.com, or comment below. If you are a paid subscriber, hang tight. I want to talk about He Gets Us. I want you to tell me, am I wrong in my assessment of the He Gets Us stuff and not getting all worked up like so many others of my fellow Christians have? I mean, Steve Deace is out there calling it demonic. And Allie Beth Stuckey and look, there's a lot of them that I agree with on 90% of the stuff that's going on. But this is, I don't know. I see this different, and I want to explain why and how I see it when we come back. We'll do that for paid subscribers. Those of you that are free, your comments are always welcome, and I'll see you next week, or just try it this week. Just upgrade. Upgrade for a month to a paid subscription. Join in this He Gets Us conversation. Hear my thoughts first, and then join in. And we'd love to have you part of what we're doing. All right, your choice. If not, I'll see you next week. Paid subscribers, hang tight.
The Memo with Peter Heck.
Please patronize and thank all the sponsors of the Heck podcast, including McGonagall's Buick GMC, Terrell's Auto Service, Norris Insurance, Stevens Machine, Creative Financial Center, Indiana Right to Life, Tri-Green Tractor, the Indiana Family Institute, Hartman Family Farms, Liberty Financial Group, the Wyman Group, and J. Watson Creations.